Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Michelle, and it is Friday, February 25th, and we are doing the MeanDAO Community AMA. Like every Friday, we come together and bring the core team out so that the rest of the DAO and the rest of the community can ask us any questions. We usually give you a little bit of a brief and update of what's been happening over the last week and what we have going on in the upcoming week. And we try to answer all of your questions. We are streaming this live both on Discord and on Twitter Spaces. And if you missed it, you can catch up to it later on the on YouTube. These things are usually recorded by members of the community, and we have a dedicated YouTube channel that they ultimately get uploaded to. So you can go back and knock yourself out with a bunch of different AMAs that we have done on every Friday. So welcome to MeanDAO, and I have with me on stage. Who do we have on stage? Let's see. Um, we have the one and only Adele, Mylene, the one and only two. All of you guys are one and only. It's Mylene, Tariq, and Pavel San are joining me on stage. Welcome, guys.
Hello, hello everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, guys.
All
Hello.
right. And we have a good representation on the stage right now of our engineering team, our product and support team, our QA, our community. Like all the right leaders are in place here. So this is a good setting for everyone to ask all of those questions that you guys have. Right now, at the moment, we have 50 people listening on Discord, and we have another 15 listening on Twitter. So this is a total of 65 of you. The way that you ask your questions, by the way, it is either on Twitter or on Discord. For the most part, we're gonna, Discord gets a lot more activity. But if you do have a question, pop it over on the AMA questions channel, and we will go through it one by one. Okay. So why don't we get started? A couple of things first that I wanted to open up today, and it is like one thing that we are not is politicians. So we like in general, government and the business of politics is not our business. We are an international DAO, and we have people all over the place. So the one thing that we wanted to say was to our civilian Ukrainian friends and Russian friends and friends of everywhere that are victims of the dangers of war. Without them being at fault, our hearts go out to them, and we wish you all a speedy recovery from that. Right? This is not a political statement. This is a statement about just human lives that are just being sacrificed and put at risk on behalf of politics, which is sad to see any day of the week. It doesn't matter which country it happens. So just wanted to put that out there, that our thoughts and prayers are with you all. In addition to that, we open up the market on a little bit of an up note today, so that is a good thing. So it looks like we have a tiny bit of a bump after a disastrous last week. Bitcoin has been hovering all the way down to 34, 33. I think was the lowest one that it went down a couple of days ago. But today seems to be a little bit of a green day. I think just in general, we are in a very tumultuous market. The market is still trying to adapt to all of the news of whether it is war or QE or any of the news that are happening. It seems that we don't catch a break on just a barrage of bad news all around the world. But I think overall, let's this is a good time for all protocols and for all DAOs and for all builders to focus on what we do best, which is continue to build and continue to improve the overall ecosystem and continue to contribute to that future dream to get to a fully decentralized, censorship-resistant financial freedom and financial utopia that we're all building. And that's exactly what we're doing. So, always thinking long term and let the market do its thing. Okay. That was note number 2 that I had. Sorry, a little bit of sudden news to open up. Let's try to pick it up from here. All right. Let's take a look at our Twitter and how we have been doing over the past rolling 28 days. We have had, we've earned about 11,000 impressions per day. If we look at the past week was a little bit more active on social media. We actually had a much more active last week, 14,000, 14,200, 11,900, and so on. So we have a little bit of a more active week on Twitter. We got in general. Let me take a look at the last 7 days. We had a good amount of impressions and very high engagement actually on some of the posts that we had. We have the treasure hunt also going on, which kind of brings up a lot of reactions and a lot of engagement on that. That was one of the highest posts that we had with 7.5 engagement rate. The other one was a post that we did about Web3 and DeFi. We did that actually like last Friday, I think. So right before the previous AMA, but we've had all throughout this week a crazy amount of engagement there. I highly recommend that that you go and do a reading of that particular article, because it will help you explain in simple terms your loved ones and the people around you what is Web3, what is DeFi, and what is it that like how to define those concepts in more simple terms with something that most people can relate to. Okay, so in general, very good post, a lot of good feedback from it. So yeah, that's that. We're gonna continue to do some of those posts as we move on. We have like 3 or 4 more that are scheduled that are in similar limelight of kind of breaking down complex concepts for people. As we go out with additional products, we will try to make them kind of closer to to the products that are going out. We have one that is scheduled to go out to talk about multisig and the need of multisig and why multisig is so important for the decentralized finance world. So very excited about that one. That is also coming up very soon. All right, let's take a look at our Discord metrics. This week we had, damn, I always have to like adjust this thing here on Discord. For some reason, the start day on Discord always messes up, and it puts me back into December last year. Didn't realize that. But we have had. So we are February 25th. So I'm going to adjust that to February 18 to the 20th. Okay. So on this week we actually went down. The net down number of members was 8. We went down in the number of members on the server, but the member retention went up by 34.8%. So we're not a good number to see that when a lot of people are not a lot of people, but 8 members left the server, never to come back. Maybe there were 8 bad members. So we'll see. Member retention 34.8%. That's a good sign overall. Total membership over time has kind of continued to remain steady. Tariq and Zing and the rest of the ambassadors, I think that we need to start doing a little bit of additional planning around this, because now that we have plateau on the membership, we need to really start thinking about what are the activities and the engagements and the incentives that we have in place to bring people along and to make sure that this is a place where people want to not only to hang out but to also learn about what we're doing and learn about DeFi and learn about finance and learn about all of those things. There's plenty of people around the world that are craving the things that we have. So we have to do a little bit of a better job, I think, at having some more planning. I'm sure that Tariq will give us an update on that pretty soon. Um, on the engagement side, we had 141 communicators. We had 64 total voice minutes that happened. We got a big bump in the total message activity. Almost 2,000 new messages were sent this week, and let's see, how's the audience doing? Turkey actually went down a little bit, and Korea and Nigeria took a couple of points from them. I think that has to do with the fact that we did some AMAs on the Asian community. We did one in Korea, I think, and one in China this past week. So we had a little bit of like an uptick from that. Nigeria now sits at 17%, Korea at 12%, and Turkey at 25%. So Turkey went down by a full point on that. Still, like, you know, by and large, our largest community. What else do we have going on here? I think that I'm gonna stop right there because we have a lot of other updates on the product side, on the community side. But why don't I pass over the reins to you, Tariq, and you give us a little update of what has been going on in the community for the past week and what do we have plans for this upcoming week. You take it away, sir.
So on this week we had a lot of engagement like the Turkey community. I will be giving an update on some of the events that happened and some of the event upcoming ones and the ambassadors brief. So on the Turkish community updates, we had a lot of event that was planned, just like the MeanFi and the MeanFi live broadcast that happened on YouTube. We had a lot of engagement, and we also had our weekly AMA, Turkish AMA on Twitter, and then and then Chris Code and Kuku went live on YouTube 2 days ago to describe the use of how to use the MeanFi app, and then we also, as of last week, we had a new member in the Mean and Wise Road. That was Fred. Yeah, his engagement has been top notch, and he, yeah, he has been a good influence in the community. So he got the role and was there was an event that held on Twitter on his behalf. So yeah, on the events that is going on, we have the quiz session which just concluded. This epoch just concluded yesterday, and the general score will be released soon by the organizers. And then yeah, we also have the writing contest that also ended yesterday, and we have the webinar that will be that just took off yesterday as well. So people that won that made it to the top 10 will continue to write until we get a winner. So on the TG engagement, yeah, we have been growing organically, and we continue to grow until we reach we are planning on kicking off events on TG once we get to 2K members, because we can't start engaging people, let people there. So on the ambassadors brief, the ambassadors, we are planning on holding lots of AMA, like by on 10th and 9th and 10th of March. We'll be having the Stephen team coming over to MeanFi for an AMA session. And then we'll also be going there for an AMA session. There's a lot of prizes to be won, just like Stephen Sneaker and GST. And also, we found out that the community is not well sensitized on the roadmap and yeah, the frequently asked question on the MeanFi doc. So we'll be helping, we'll be sensitizing more on the roadmap on the coming weeks, so that people will actually know what we are here for. And yeah, there's a lot of events going on in the community, just like the treasure hunt, which we did the first unboxing the other day, and the second one kicked off. So if you have not if you don't know, we have a treasure hunt going on, and it's just about the new MeanFi features that will be coming up. So you can go on Twitter, follow, like, retweet, tag 5 friends, and then drop your answers. So yeah, this is a short review on what we had in the community this week.
Very nice, very nice. So we had so you mentioned the AMA and contest that we're going to be doing with Steppen, with
Yeah, yeah,
lyrics. We did also you didn't mention that that also the
yeah,
community started creating some
yeah,
dashboards and stuff like that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was Cuckoo. Cuckoo went an innovator. They went in extra miles to make sure that we were listed on, yeah, the app radar. And yeah, they are also planning on making sure that the metrics on coin market cap and coin depot will tally with what we have, because some of the metrics are not right. So we're working to rectify that. And
Yeah.
also Lycan, the Chinese community, they went ahead with an AMA with lyrics, and yeah, and the turn up was great.
Yeah, yeah. So AMA with lyrics, AMAs with Steppen coming up. We have AMAs on specific communities, on localized communities. Didn't we have also one that we were planning with a Turkish community as well?
The AMA that I didn't mention was the patient AMA that went off with grape. We did a patient AMA with grape server the other day.
That's right. That's right. So with Grape, so a lot of AMAs. So the summary is we've been doing a lot of AMAs, a lot of work with additional partners, and a lot of
Yeah.
localized community AMAs and development. Correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the creativity team are also coming up with a pop to for people that attend these AMAs. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Actually, let me touch on that briefly. So the ambassadors are going to be essentially we're going to be setting up a system to grant people that attend the AMAs and different activities that are happening through the community proof of attendance NFTs. Okay, so with those proof of attendance NFTs, right now it is so at first it is an honor badge, but make no mistake, that is a good measurement for understanding who and how much people need to be rewarded in the future when we do either retroactive airdrops or when we do incentivized campaigns and things like that. So make sure that you grab your Pope on when you attend the AMAs and when you participate in an AMA, when you ask a question that is valid and that is answered, and that and that we give highlights to. So very excited about that as well. I think that is going to start creating more of a sense of ownership and belonging across the community as well. So yeah, that's phenomenal. Anything else that you want to add here, Tariq?
No, no.
All right. So besides the work that the community has been doing to essentially create stats, I think that right now we have a page that is being built on where was it? Help me out here. Um, there's one page that was being built. What was the place where Cuckoo did it? And God damn it, I have my memories failing me today. So let me see here. It was put in the announcements channel. This was on Dabrator. So we have a page on Dabrator. I think it's missing a few of the smart contracts, and they're working on it right now. But little by little, we will start correcting some of the information that we have there, and so we're gonna end up with like two or three or five uh, analytics page that are going to be built up. Dune Analytics also recently opened up the Solana analytics for basically anybody to do. We'll probably put out at some point a bounty for the best analytics page that anybody can go out and build on doing analytics directly, to kind of like have a little bit of a competition, because not everybody has the same perspective, and that is very configurable and depends on what you want to track and how you want to track it and things like that. So it's always interesting to see those things kind of being analyzed from different users of the community. So I think that this is I don't know when. I'm sure that the ambassadors will put together a nice little bounty for that at some point. But yeah, and we're still pending our own analytics page that we're going to be including in the product itself, which is our own take and our own angle, and what is the prism through which we see our own protocol analytics. Okay, so a lot of analytics, a lot of metrics and stuff to look through. All right, thank you very much, Tariq. I'm going to move on here. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you up. I forgot to add that we have a lot of translation, because we are trying to translate the MeanFi app to for our community, various international community. As of now, we have the Turkish translation is done, the French and the Portuguese. Yeah, we're still on hold on the Korean translation, and Chinese and Vietnam. Yeah, and Persia. So we are trying to make the MeanFi app more user friendly for various people that don't understand English. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Awesome.
So a lot of like native code, native translation going in. I think that that's going to make us really strong on those localized communities that leverage us quite a bit. So yeah, phenomenal work. Thank you, Tariq. Thank you. Adele, what do you got for us on the engineering team? What's been happening that is exciting lately?
Yeah, so on this side, so this week was a very important week from the security standpoint, and we've been talking about always talking about these hard to get audits, because they are easy to very very difficult to book. But today, this week, during the week, we got the first preliminary report on the first audit we started to do, it was like 3 weeks ago, for our DDCA and our dollar cost average and our hybrid liquidity aggregator smart contracts, on-chain smart contracts. So we are happy to announce that we received that first initial report, and the results were all wonderful. We only got like a few recommendations that we are going to be addressing in the next few days, just to finally get that shiny diploma certifying security of those two smart contracts. So that was very good news that we received this week. And the second exciting thing in the security standpoint is that we started to do our second audit just this week for our monitoring program version 2 that we have on chain. So we should be hearing about the results in about first days of March, and of course we are eager to get those results to see how we're doing on this one too. So yeah, I guess another thing to point out is that we are gonna be including a new security tool in our daily development process. So we don't have to wait for this kind of audits just to know what's going on at the security level in our smart contracts, but we can just assess this security on a daily basis while we create our smart contracts. So yeah, I think a lot of good things happened during the week. and we are feeling very, very exciting about it.
Right on, right on. This is big news. So I think that the second part of that, by the way, we're doing security audits with multiple companies, right? So this is not a single company that we're doing this with. One of them is Soteria, the other one is Certic. We have also another pending engagement with Kudelski. So there's like multiple companies doing sometimes overlapping audits to make sure that whatever one might have missed, the other one can pick up. And every time that we do a major version release, all of those things need to happen again, which are very costly, very time consuming, very kind of cumbersome to go through. But we've had a very good experience with the team of Soteria, and they are very thorough in their approach. And the tool that Adele was mentioning that we are going to be including in there is actually the Soteria tool, but it is their, so they have, right now they have an open source tool that anybody can use, and they do have, they do help cover some of the most basic kind of concerns that are usually checked with smart contract security. And but this additional tool is a more pro version that of a tool that they have, where they are constantly maintaining, right? So that this is the equivalent of having essentially a security audit on every single commit, and we'll be able to run all of those things on a semi-automated basis every time that we do a minor release or a patch release or any of those things, so that we can basically make sure that alongside our unit tests, alongside all of the other security measures that we have in place, that that nothing has changed in an adverse way in the contract. So we're covered on that end in between major releases. So so that's going to help fill that gap, quite a bit in there.
So
that's awesome.
very exciting thing.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. All right, thank you very much, Adele. Anything else that you want to add here? That sounds like a no.
Yeah. No, for now.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Thank you, sir. Pavel-san, what do you got for us?
Sure. No. So relatively brief update today, guys. Not that we haven't been busy, but we're actually in the midst of completing one sort of key thing that last week, as you guys know, we put out the multi-sig, an element, a couple elements of that, and one piece to that puzzle, the treasury side of it is very close to being done. So we've been super busy this week on that front, taking up a good chunk of the week, on top of the work we're doing on the staking, which we know is really important on the investor side for the community. So those are sort of the two key things that have been the focus this week, leading into our new sprint that we started on Wednesday, on top of the security items that Adele was mentioning. So on the treasury front, a key thing there, which is really a huge opportunity for MeanFi on so many different fronts, and there will be some exciting news. I'm not going to drop any alpha here that we'll be hearing about on that front coming in the future, but essentially, one of the elements there is having that multi-sig link, additional layer of security surrounding the treasury. So I'm pretty excited about that, because I know it's for a retail user, it may not seem as sexy, but for us as a community, it's a huge stepping stone for what is going to be a very beautiful future. That kind of covers some of the basic product stuff. Again, on the staking side, if I can add a little bit more color on that front, it is coming along very nicely. It looks really, really sharp. There are a few more tests we need to run. So it is a high priority for us, but it's something we don't want to launch before it's properly done.
Right. Cool. Yep. That's awesome. Any updates from from our partner on the bonds and that, or I don't think that we have any new update. Date's still the same, right? Oops, looks like Pavelson dropped. Let me cover up for him on that, because I'm very privy of what's happening there. I think we mentioned this last week, but the partner that we're doing he's back. The partner that we're doing the bonding with, so our POL, protocol on liquidity, or protocol on assets, and partner is going through an audit. And sometimes one might decide that you want to go out and go live without an audit, and sometimes you if it is not that complex of a contract, or if there is a precedent for not needing an audit to go live. Like, we measured the level of risk, but they felt that it is important for them to have the audit before we go live on that. So you can almost, like, if you know the ecosystem well enough, you can almost deduct who that partner is, because you can basically remove all the ones that are already doing that in production without an audit, and then it's not any of them. So it's got to be some of the other ones that are not doing that in production in Solana. So we that what remind me here of the date for that, Pausan. Do you know it?
Yeah, sorry for dropping. I'm not sure what happened, but it was slated for early March again, but it depends on the completion of the audit. And if I could add just a couple other items, there are a few other sort of items that we have in the pipeline on top of the staking. This POL is one of them, and some integration with the liquidity pools that we're doing to allow for the investors to be able to easily sort of access and see that in one place. And a couple other sort of exciting things we've got are surrounded around primarily the business side, but being able to do an example of being able to do multiple creation of money streams at one time. So I know some of our partners and DAOs that use us with multiple streams will really appreciate that. So that's in the pipeline, as well as an accessibility connection VR SDK. That was mentioned last week about the great grant that we got. We have that in the pipeline as well. So some pretty exciting stuff that gains exposure, usability for all of our users, whether they're in our community or part of extended communities as well.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. One thing that we mentioned that we wanted to briefly touch on from the roadmap perspective is we have been kind of like taking a look and reevaluating a couple of the things that we either have looking at the roadmap, and we'll probably end up publishing an updated version of the roadmap. But briefly, I want to touch on a couple of things that we are somewhat late, that we know for a fact already that we're going to miss, but some of the other things that we've actually accelerated, and we've delivered or that we're going to deliver way ahead of a schedule. So almost every single thing that we had slated for Q2, Q3 of 2021 last year was delivered with flying colors. So from the protocol implementation to having the socials built out, all the architecture, the white paper, the team assembly, the protocol, all the research, launching the actual version 1 of MeanFi, having universal routing for the aggregator. It's also there, but we didn't deliver, for example, on having that block tempo with proper nodes and incentives, or basically an open network on that. So that one is probably going to be delayed. I don't know for how long, but we are in the process of like replanning and reprioritizing some of those elements. We did go last year on Q4 through the launch of the Mean Governance Token. We did the airdrop. We did all of those other things that we had going on, but we didn't finish the audit of those things last year. We're just wrapping up right now the first few audits. So I guess you can count that as one of the late things, 6 weeks late from the end of that. Many of those things are outside of our control. The audits depend on the auditing firms, depend on what we can negotiate in terms of price, depends on a lot of different things, right? So when it comes to Q1 this year, which we are halfway through right now, we had right now a schedule as one of the bigger milestones, the launch of the governance portal. And mind you guys, like for example, the governance portal is an easy peasy part that we can just go to Realms, for example, create a DAO and start basically doing voting in there if we wanted to. But that will not only work against ourselves, but will defeat the purpose of a lot of the tools that we're doing, right? So we want to make sure that all of the tool sets that we have are properly integrated into the governance program, into like all of the different governance UIs that are out there, and so that we can actually leverage the same tools that we're building and give access not only to ourselves to use it in our own governance, but give access to other DAOs and other products that are leveraged on top or that are running their governance on top of those governance UI. So there is additional planning that needs to happen from that angle so that we can do that in a proper way. If we rush everything right now, the only thing it's going to give us is additional support items and additional overhead in trying to migrate everything from one portal to another, or from one portal that does not yet have our multisig integrated into our multisig. So like it really, like a big part of everything that that we're doing is because we're creating a lot of enterprise tools and a lot of business tools. It really doesn't make sense if we're not eating our own dog poop. It's a good way of seeing it, right? So like we are using our own tools to power up the entire DAO for ourselves. So it might take a little bit longer and it might not be completed by the end of Q1, but certainly this is going to be something that we're going to be a lot more ready to take on Q2. So probably the governance portal is going to be one of those things that is going to be launched on, after April of this year. Also, the P2P exchange is another one of those products that we had originally slated for Q1, and due to some of the integrations that we have done on the exchange side and some of the milestones that we have ahead on improving parts of the exchange, doing the P2P contract, which is a dedicated contract in and of itself, will require a little bit more of time. We haven't even started on that yet, and we're halfway through Q1. So it is fairly safe to say we are not going to deliver P2P exchange on Q1. That is going to be one of those things that is going to probably move on to Q2 and potentially even Q3 because we have other things that are coming up. The main reward programs and the investment profiles and all of those things are right on schedule. We are going to deliver on those. So very happy the way that things are coming up on that angle. Now, some things that we had scheduled for further down the road that we have already delivered are, for example, wallet partnerships, the move to mobility. We already started conversations with multiple vendors, and we are exploring what are the avenues to which we're going to deliver a mobile experience. So all of those conversations started already, and we are not even at the end of Q1. So there's a lot of movement already on partnerships and on wallet providers using us and leveraging us, and on us moving towards a mobile future. So a lot of like green and flying colors on that end. We had, for example, all of the lending and borrowing integrations slated for Q3 of this year. The same thing with having stable asset products. All of those things are going to happen. We're already working on some of those things, and all of those are going to happen before Q3. So it's very likely that we're going to be able to deliver those either on, towards the end of Q1 or beginning of Q2, because of the invest product that Pablo-san just mentioned right now. So a lot of things are getting accelerated, especially around the investment side. So those things have already been already in the works and already like quite advanced. So you're going to see those products come out little by little towards the end of this quarter and beginning of next quarter. As we move forward. We had slated the business vaults and business treasuries for Q4 of 2022, and we already have those in production.
Mm-hmm.
You can go today and create business vaults that are secured by multisig, and you can have 10 different addresses that are valid signatories on that, and you can transfer and you can do all sorts of things that were originally business workflows, part of the stage 3, which was Curie. A lot of the things that are part of Curie, we have accelerated and we have brought them onto the forefront. Everything that has to do with payroll, everything that has to do with multisig, everything that has to do with treasuries, everything that has to do with vaults, everything that has to do with programs and program updates, all of those things we have delivered already. And those were slated for Q4, so Q3 or Q4 of this year. And we are halfway through Q1, and we have already all of those things in production. So yes, the the order of priorities might have shifted a little bit based on market needs and based on the things and the partnerships that we were signing, because we needed to put some things first before those partnerships and those integrations actually make sense. And that's exactly what we've been doing. There are a couple of those things that got a little pushback. In particular, the two that I mentioned, the P2P exchange and the governance portal, they need to shift forward into next quarter. But in general, and the block tempo stuff as well. But in general, we are more than delivering on our promise. And I personally am super happy with the pace of delivery and the pace that the team is performing. And I think that we are in a very healthy cadence of product delivery. So kudos to you all for being part of the journey, and kudos to the community for giving us all the pushback and all of the pressure to deliver on those things. And we have a lot of very good rock stars and very good engineers and very good product people, and so it's only a matter of time before we continue to deliver more and more of those. Okay. Anything to add here, Pablo-san?
Yeah, no, I think that was great. The only thing I would add, guys, is kind of what I said earlier is that some of these things that were pushed forward by design, because it will mean a very mean future, if you will, and so I think that the grander vision will be seen by us implementing some of these tools that we ourselves are going to use as well, right?
Yep, 100%, 100%. All right, let's try to get into some of the AMA questions and see what we have over here. All right, so let's see. What is the key point of P2P feature is about launch? Wait a second. Hi team, can we use more stable coins in MeanFi app? Tether Gold, Tether Silver. Fed T. I don't. If they have SPL 20, if they have SPL 20, I mix up ERC20 with SPL token. if they have an SPL standard, that Tether Gold and Tether Silver, 100%. I just don't know. I just don't know enough about them right now. Fed. I guess Pablo-san will need to take that home and do a little bit of research on that, right?
Sure.
I don't know. Good question though. I have no idea even like what they are. Never used them. All right. What is the key point of P2P feature that is about to launch? Is there another platform that this feature is available? If yes, what is the biggest difference? Okay, that's a lot of questions. Alisa, you've been on fire. You deserve like 2 or 3 popes because you've been asking some really good edgy questions here. So the P2P feature, we've talked about this in the past, but essentially it allows for the same way that we are exchanging right now. So there's multiple ways of exchanging. Traditionally, in a centralized system, you usually exchange 2 assets. So usually they're anchored on the US dollar or on the euro, but you might exchange any 2 assets. You can change Chinese yen or Chinese yuan for euros. You can change euros for yens for pesos, pesos for dollars. It doesn't matter. There's usually an exchange rate and on any 2 assets that you want to swap for one another. And that usually happens on a central limit order book. Now, on a decentralized infrastructure, that usually happens on an AMM, on an automated market maker, which is a different kind of strategy / technology to be able to accomplish the same objective, which is to be able to swap 2 assets, one for the other. But an automated market maker essentially still requires someone to, well, 2 things. An automated market maker doesn't have fiat because fiat requires of a centralized system. So if you want to swap fiat for crypto, you can only do that on a centralized exchange. That's why all of the on-ramps and off-ramps from crypto to fiat and from fiat to crypto happens today on a centralized exchange. A good way of going around this problem and being able to do a fiat to crypto on-ramp and off-ramp is to be able to do a P2P. So that is a person-to-person or a point-to-point exchange where 2 people, one of them have fiat, the other one has crypto, and they are able to interact with all of the security of the decentralized infrastructure, but they are able to physically go to one another and say, oh, my exchange rate for the SOL that I have is $100, even though the exchange rate on some other place might be something different. But if they agree to a quoted price and they agree that that is the exchange rate that they're going to enforce at that time, the only problem that is left to resolve is how do I guarantee that I get my SOL at the same time, like after I give out my fiat, right? So there's like physical paper or a physical transaction that happens from one bank account to another. So that's what this problem solves. It allows anybody to essentially become their own AMM with the rest of the community that they have around them. And this is super critical for countries where you have, if you don't want to do any kind of KYC or you don't want to do any kind of AML, which is usually required on a centralized infrastructure where you need to do the on-ramps and off-ramps, the only way that you have to do that is basically through a P2P network. And that's what we're building here. Okay? Hopefully that answered your question. All right. Someone said about the contracts already updated and reported, Ambassadors Club. I need to read that about the DAB Raider thing. All right. So Jody asks, I know we're going to adopt a cross-chain with Avalanche. Do we have a plan to adopt more cross-chain like Terra? These days, many projects on Solana are working with Terra through Wormhole as a bridge. All right, so I want to kind of address a slight difference that it is a very important one, and that is the difference between cross-chain and multi-chain. They sound similar, but they mean very different things, right? Yes, we might have some cross-chain workflows, and cross-chain, what it basically means that the heart of cross-chain infrastructure are bridges. You need to go through a bridge if you want to cross-chain any asset from one chain to the other. However, those things are very highly dependent on the bridge that you use to cross-chain. In other words, like all of those STETH and STBTC that we have on Solana are not real assets. And if there is an exploit on any of the changes that the bridge was bridging, the tokens on the other side of that bridge are going to be worthless, okay? Those are in general, very risky value propositions unless they are temporary in nature. Bridges are phenomenal when you want to do, quick asset transfers, when you want to make money movements from one chain to another, when you want to make conversions that can only happen on a particular network, when you want to move a certain part of your capital from one place to another. But they are not good to keep assets. Like after you, like if you were on Ethereum and you have some ETH on Ethereum and you want to bridge that over to Solana just to keep that ST ETH in Solana, in general, that is a very bad practice simply because that is not real ETH. And if there is an exploit on the smart contract of the bridge that you use to bridge that particular ETH, you are going to be left without any ETH at all. So bridges have their place and they are an important part of the ecosystem, but they are not multi-chain. They are cross-chain tools. Multi-chain tools is where you do native minting on every chain, and the protocol is responsible for ensuring that enough assets and collateral are backing those mintings across chains. And so far as I know, there is no native ETH in Solana, for example, or no native BTC in Solana. You know what is a good example of a multi-chain application? USDC. The USDC that is minted on Solana is native USDC, as in the company Circle, which is behind the minting of those USDCs, are backing those USDCs one by one natively in the Solana network. And the ones that they mint on the ETH network, they are also backing their manually one by one, not manually, but from the corporate standpoint, one by one. That is what a multi-chain future looks like. And yes, do we have plans for a multi-chain future? Absolutely. Is it right now? Absolutely not. That requires a tremendous amount of infrastructure, a tremendous amount of effort, a tremendous amount of everything. Now, doing multi-chain or I should say cross-chain swaps would be one of the things that we enable, and doing cross-chain streams might also be available earlier, but it is important to understand what is the actual definition of those things, because it's very difficult for us to guarantee any particular asset that is being cross-chained through a money stream if we are not the ones minting it on the destination chain where we ought to receive it, if we're depending on some other basically minter of that, usually a bridge. Okay, so the same thing applies to Terra. It doesn't matter, Avalanche. So ideally, we would be able to. So ideally, when we start adopting Avalanche and Terras and all other chains, it will be in a multi-chain fashion, not in a cross-chain fashion, which, if it makes sense. Okay, I know it's a little bit confusing, the terminology, but hopefully I got my point across. Question: if I open a multi-sig account with some family member, if there should be a reason to go out separate ways, is there a feature for one person who is still interested to fully gain control of the account, or do we have to close it till I find my next partner? No, I'm not sure I follow that question.
I think what they're asking is hypothetically, let's say you had a couple people in the multi-sig and one person needs to be removed, Michelle. And we do have that. We do have that edit function. The part that I would recommend people consider, though, is that it's best not to just have two signers on a multi-sig, because obviously every transaction will need to be signed by those two people in order for it to be executed. You're better to have a situation where you have, say, three and only two are actually required to complete, authorize, if you will, the transaction. And that way, if there ever is a situation where one of the three needs to be removed, all it takes is the two people to agree. to remove that third person. So I think that answers the question, but obviously add anything that you feel is necessary.
That's exactly right. Yeah, 100% what you said. Nothing, no more colors to add there. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. What's this? So the next one is, do DAOs and projects that use MeanFi pay any fees? Yes, that's how we make money, and that's how the DAO makes money, actually, right? If yes, do they pay an equivalent of Mean tokens? That second question I did not follow. Do they pay in an equivalent of Mean token? No, they pay in. So it depends on the token that they are streaming, right? So we have usually. By the way, all the fees are published online on the docs site, so you can go and check our fee structure over there. But usually our fees are either transactional fees, like flat fees in Sol. That's one kind of fee. Another kind of fee is a percentage of the a particular transaction. And those are usually in like sub percentage points. So you're talking about 0.2, 0.05%, like very, very small percentages. And those are usually charged in the token that is being streamed or that is being used for whatever one of the products that we have. And sometimes it is a discounted rate, so like it doesn't actually come out of the actual product itself, but it is as a result of an exchange spread that we might charge. All right, so we try to arbitrage a little bit some of those things from the exchange point of view. All right, so and yes, we cannot give everything out for free, otherwise we don't have money to continue to develop, and everybody wants a good product here. Nobody works for free on Earth. The end. Even volunteers are not working for free. They're working in exchange for reputation. All right. What else do we have here? Do you have a separate plan to correct this when we to correct this? I don't know what this is. In general, most governance pools need a governance token. Yes, that is true. All right, very, very few questions today. I'm kind of surprised, but okay, that means that everybody must have a lot of clarity on this thing. It is 10:58, and we have 76 people listening on Discord, and a measly 10. I'm not gonna on Twitter. I'm going to I think I'm going to stop using Twitter for these things until we have a more active Twitter community, I guess, on this thing. 10 people on Twitter. Come on, that's like. All right, I guess I'm not going to say any more on that. Alrighty then, we have a little bit over 80 people, averaging on all of the conversation. Let me take a quick look at Twitter here before we call the day off and see if there was any. Someone said, "Shitcoin fuck." Okay, that's what they said. No problem. That's what you think. Go fuck yourself, I guess. Airdrop calm token not shown. What problem? Damn. Something about the airdrop. That much I understand, and something about the airdrop and a problem. The airdrop is already like the airdrop claim is already closed, isn't it? We already closed that on a few days ago, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Okay, so yeah, no more claims for the airdrop. You had your I don't know, almost 60 days, I think, to claim that. If you didn't, if you were not able to get your airdrop claim on 60 days, that boat already left. But so, all right, I guess that is it for today, guys. Let's keep on focusing on growing steadily the community. Bring your friends, bring your loved ones, bring your buddies, your colleagues. Tell them about what we're building here, And what we're building here is a future, the future of decentralized finance, a future where banking is accessible to everybody, a future where you have a rainbow of assets and protocols and investment opportunities, and a future where you can achieve economic freedom because of the decisions you make, not because of the decisions that any government or any person makes on your behalf. And that is a future that we're powering. 100% fully self-custody, 100% with clarity, with simplicity, and that's what we're building for everybody. And to that extent, we are doing phenomenally well. Thank you very much to the community. Thank you very much to all of the OGs that we have here every single week after week, every single day, week after week. And thank you to the team that we work day and night. There's almost not a single day, not a single hour that you don't see someone doing something for the DAO and doing something for the product and growing our presence everywhere. So with that said, like I always go and say goodbyes or say hasta luegos, go out, smell the flowers, kiss your loved ones, and let's fucking go!
Awesome.
Let's do
All
it.
right.
Here we go, guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right on. I'm not gonna get
Have a good
people
one,
together.
everybody.
I was hoping like one day, guys. One day we have to rehearse this, like maybe prior to the AMA, and we're gonna have to like go. You know, let's fucking go all together. Why don't we try this for the first time? Come on, give me, like, make me feel good for once here. All right,
Alright,
let's go.
let's do
1,
it.
2, 3.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. All
Oh,
right.
boy. No,
Here you
not
go.
very synchronized, but
We can get better.
well,
We can get better. We need to rehearse that a little bit more.
Awesome.
Alrighty then. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
later.
Bye bye. Have a good one.
Bye.